Forum live on Channels Television. We've been discussing some topical issues, most of which concerns the country Nigeria. We now continue with the economy. In the early days of this administration, the nation's economy was plunged into a recession, but today we seem to have pulled through it. While with $500 billion gross domestic product, the country still faces serious unemployment situation, which stands at 18%, high exchange rate of about 360 naira to a dollar, a drop in foreign investment, infrastructural deficit, and many more. Sadly, these economic issues are even compounded 6 months after the president presented the proposed budget. The document has only been returned to him for assent a few days ago. Well, to discuss these issues on the economy, we have, of course, Professor Pt.1, who's been with us earlier. We have Dr. Obieze Kwesili. We also have joining us Dr. Adeyemi Dikpaolu, SA to the Vice President on Economic Matters. We also have Mr. Okechukwu Endelama, Minister of Trade, Investment and Industry. We have Roman Osagale, a public affairs analyst, and of course, regular on Channels Television, Mr. Bismarck Rewani, CEO of Financial Derivatives Company. Thank you for coming. So taking a look at the economy with this administration 3 years on, the government says it's been working on blocking loads of leakages in the economy, manpower, institutions. How would you rate its, the government's efforts? If I can direct that to Mr. Rewani.
Efforts, yes. But what the people are looking for is results and impact. So the efforts are maximum efforts. The intentions are noble, but unfortunately the impact has not been as expected. So let us go back to where we started. 3 years ago, when just in the cusp of a recession, but the recession doesn't start the day it manifests itself. It started way before then. There was already a recessionary gap. There were many things happening, and the structure of the economy has not changed. What we had was an oil-induced recession compounded by corruption, and we had an oil-induced recovery. So again, a natural wealth economy and a produced wealth economy are two different things. What Obi was talking about was how do you transition from a natural wealth economy to a produced wealth economy? The answer to that is actually to attract investment, both domestically and internationally, and to become efficient in what you do. So we try to look at these things, and people forget pain. Memory for pain is short, and that's why women go back to the labor room and go back to and do those things and bring it back again. So what has happened is that the level of investment has stabilized, but it's not up to that optimal level. So suboptimality of performance is still a problem. And how do we get there? We get there by actually believing in ourselves and putting in the efforts that are there. Now, also, we have to look at some of the things that have happened since that time. Some of the things, one, is the minimum wage has not been reviewed. Two, there's been a proper gridlock, which has actually compounded a lot of the problems.
Let's get the thoughts of the Minister, Okechukwu Endelama, here, especially on the economy and some of the things Mr. Rewani has said. Are there things that you agree?
I think the first observation I'll make is that I'm sure Bismarck Rewani will agree with me that generally in life, as a matter of principle, trends are more important than levels. Where something is going is extremely important. If you want to be more precise, you can measure the sort of the trajectory and the speed of that change. But there is no question that in terms of trends, things are changing. I mean, only somebody who is inattentive or in denial will say there is no change, in the sense that the numbers are changing, the records are changing. And the good news is that the direction is actually positive, particularly when you come to the economy. I agree with Bismarck that we prefer an investment-led growth. But what the numbers we're seeing support an investment-led growth. If you look at during the recession, investments dried up. Those investments are coming back, and are coming back quite materially, and are coming back faster than expected, actually. So in my view, the most important thing is sustainability. We need to continue. I mean, he says the effort is good. That effort needs to be continued. and it needs to be sustained.
One would argue that with your position, that's to be expected. But if I may bring Mr. Roman Esegele, with regards to the comments being made here, what does this materialize to the man on the street who has no food to eat?
Well, I think the basic things government should first of all look at, right, is we need to study the data. Numbers don't lie, right? And I'll put down a quote from Hans Rosling. He says, data allows your political judgment to be based on facts to the extent that what? Numbers describe reality. Have we benefited from democracy? That is the question we need to ask ourselves. And I'll give you some data. In 1981, right, poverty as a percentage, people living in poverty in this country was 47% of our population. And by 2000, that number had increased to about 60%, totaling 43.9 million from 35.6 million in 1981. But when we got into democracy, from that year 2000 till date, poverty has increased by 94.7 million. Yet, between year 2000 and 2010, economy exploded by over 669%. But between 2004 and 2010, 34 million people were added to poverty. Now, you add economic growth should lead to economic development, and economic development should lead to human development. But what we are facing in Nigeria is the direct opposite.